Have you ever noticed how the most powerful messages are rarely announced outright, but instead delivered in silence? In the world of royalty, nothing is accidental, and every public appearance is a carefully composed narrative. In early 2026, during a series of widely covered engagements, there was a subtle detail that almost everyone overlooked. It wasn't the tailored coats or the polished smiles, it was something far smaller, yet far more deliberate. A glint of colour, a controlled sparkle, a calculated choice that quietly guided the public's perception without demanding attention. This is where the real story begins. Not in grandeur, but in precision. Not in spectacle, but in restraint. Because what appears effortless is often the result of meticulous intention. On February 26th, during a visit to Wales, the visual message was layered beneath a composed exterior. The deep burgundy coat suggested authority, stability, and seriousness. It grounded the moment, but the true shift came from the earrings, warm golden tones that softened the entire presentation. That contrast was not coincidence, it was balance. The interplay between structure and warmth created a dual message: strength without distance, leadership without coldness. It told a story without a single spoken word. The public wasn't just seeing an outfit, they were absorbing a feeling, a reassurance, a controlled sense of approachability wrapped in authority. And this is where the brilliance lies. The strategy does not shout, it invites. Weeks later, during a ceremonial appearance tied to tradition and duty, the visual language shifted once again. Deep green tones dominated the look, anchoring the moment in heritage and continuity. But it was the gemstones, rich, deliberate, unmistakable, that carried the emotional weight. This was not simply about honoring an occasion, it was about signaling resilience, returning after absence, standing with composure, and reinforcing a sense of unwavering presence. The color choice alone spoke of renewal, endurance, and connection to something larger than the individual. What makes this approach so effective is its consistency. The symbolism evolves, but the intention remains steady. Each appearance builds upon the last, forming a narrative that feels both personal and institutional. What truly sets this approach apart is not extravagance, but repetition. Familiar pieces appear again and again, quietly reinforcing a sense of continuity. In a world driven by constant change, this creates something rare: stability. By reintroducing the same accessories over the years, a subtle psychological connection is formed. The audience begins to recognize them, even subconsciously. They become markers of reliability, echoing the rhythms of everyday life. This is not distant royalty. This is something more grounded, more human. At the same time, these familiar elements are occasionally paired with historic pieces, bridging past and present. It is a careful balance between legacy and relatability, tradition and modern identity. And within that balance lies control of image, of perception, and ultimately of narrative. In the end, these choices are far from decorative. They are deliberate signals, crafted with precision and delivered with restraint. The use of color, repetition, and contrast creates a language that speaks directly to the viewer without ever demanding attention. It raises an interesting question. Is this the height of refined sophistication, a masterclass in subtle influence? Or does such careful control risk becoming predictable, even overly cautious? The answer depends on how you interpret silence. Because in this world, silence is never empty. It is filled with meaning, intention, and quiet authority. And for those who choose to notice, it tells you everything.